Hey, what's up? It's Vito Cash here, and I'm back with an updated tutorial. I realized that there were some kind of intricacies and details that I didn't really go over in my last video. I kind of just gave you the basics of exactly what I was doing, but in this video, I'm gonna go exactly through each one of the steps and kind of show you how to go from taking the beat that you made to exactly what you need to do, because I realized that there was something that I missed out on. With one of the beat that I was showing in the last video, I didn't do any warping or time stretching to either of the samples that I used. But the last beat that I uploaded, I realized that I didn't do any warping to the sample. So it was pretty simple. When you send the samples out, or when you chop the samples in your MPC sample and you upload those files onto your computer, the samples will actually be chopped already. The problem is that they're chopped, however, they aren't time stretched. So if you actually use the warp feature on your MPC sample, then to change the timing of the sample, and you want to make sure you use time stretch and not pitch, and I'll go over that more in depth later, then the samples, when you upload them onto your computer, they're not actually going to be warped or time stretched. You're going to need to go into your system and time stretch it yourself in order to line up with the BPM of your project. So let's start here. This is a beat that I've been working on in the MPC sample. So I'm going to take you through every step in order to transfer this from your MPC sample to your computer. First thing you're going to do is hit the shift and then the 16 pad. And so when you see that, then you're going to go all the way down here, sorry about the glare, to where it says SD card access. You're going to hit that. When you hit the SD card access, make sure that your computer is connected to your MPC sample through the USB-C port in the back. Basically, I use a USB-C to a USB-A in order to transfer files between my computer and my MPC sample. So once you transfer the files, it's pretty much like any file transfer system. Once you have your computer connected and you click the SD access card link, it's like transferring any file. So these are some projects that I've transferred onto my desktop from my MPC sample. So this is the one that I've been working on. I used 3 different samples. So, but with these samples, I used some time stretching. Okay, now that I have my samples loaded onto my computer, I'm gonna go back to my MPC sample and go from the sample window to where it says sequence. So now the sequence window is gonna tell me my BPM, which is 120 beats per minute, and then the number of bars that are in my sequence, which is 8. So I need to know that information so that when I go back to my MPC 2.0 system, I'll know the correct parameters to set. So now on here, as you can see, I already have my BPM set to 120 beats per minute. And now I'm going to go down to where it says bars and crank that up to 8 bars. So now my sequence is set at the same BPM and number of bars that my sequence was set at in my MPC sample project. Okay, now that I have my sequence set, I have my BPM set, I'm going to now start taking my samples from my desktop or this folder over here that you see into the MPC 2.0 system. So I'm gonna start with the melodic sample. So first one here, we're gonna drag this one and just put it on this pad right here. Now, I'm going to show you something. So the next thing you're going to do, after you do that, you're going to go over here to your MPC. You're going to go to Sample Edit. Click that button, right? And then you're going to get this right here. If you notice, it says all 16. So all I did was load in the sample, and it's already cut into regions, the same way that it was on my MPC sample, right? But if you were listening to the beat, let me just play it. So this is the sample, and it's much faster because it's not at the same BPM that it was on my MPC sample. So now what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to actually go in and change the tempo of the sample. So I'm gonna go right here, click that button where it says chop, and then go to process. And when you do this, you want to make sure you have all 16 pads selected, because if you try to do it on just one slice, it won't work. So go to all 16 and then process, slide all the way up to where it says time stretch. Now, I know, because I'm using some samples from a pack that I purchased, exactly what my BPM is. And you have to know what the BPM of your sample is if you want to time stretch it properly. So this sample that I'm trying to time stretch is 68 beats per minute. So right now, I don't know, I could go through and just listen to the sample and then figure out how long it is or how many beats it is. But one thing I can do that's kind of a cheat is that I'll just turn up the number of beats until it matches the BPM. So the sample I know is 68 beats per minute. And you know, if you know anything about multiples, then everything in music is by 2, 4, 6, or 8s. So I know that if it says 96 is the number of beats and then my BPM original tempo is 68, then that's the correct length for my sample. So now I'm gonna go down here, and the sample tempo that I want at is, remember, is 120 beats per minute. And you know, I know that music requires a little bit of math. So what I'm going to do is I have to, like, instead of cranking this up and turning it to 120 beats per minute, I'm going to actually use the halftime principle, and I'm just going to turn it, because that's closer to the original BPM, I'm going to turn it down to 60 beats per minute instead of going up to 120. So usually when you're time stretching something, it's a better thing for you to try to go closer to, if it's halftime, then go closer to the BPM that's the closest to the original BPM of the sample. That'll preserve some of the sound quality and make sure that it's not sounding too warped or too crazy when you go to like actually put it into your project. So now I have my original tempo, which was 68. I'm changing it to 60, hit do it. Now all of these samples are coming in at 60 beats per minute instead of 68 beats per minute. Let's hear it. Okay, so now you hear it slower. Now, okay. Now, this is the part when things get really fun or annoying, depending on how you choose to characterize it. So now that I have my samples loaded into my MPC 2.0, I have my BPM, I have my number of bars, and I have my sample time stretch. Now I have to actually go back and see which pads I pressed and exactly recreate the melody that I chopped on this sample. So let's just listen to it one more time. And one thing it does is that when you go to the sample mode and then you hit chop, it'll actually show your chops. And then when you play it, it'll go back and actually show you what order the chops were played in. So let's try it. Sorry about the glare. Okay, now we're going to recreate that melody. Okay, and that one had a little tick on it, so I'm going to just dial that in slightly. All right, now that we got all our chops and we know exactly which pads we're going to put on to our program, we'll go back here, and now we're going to start to assign those pads to our program pads. So I need the first one, which is assigned here, and then I need the third one, which is assigned there. Which were the other ones? I need that one. And then I need that one. Assign that one. Okay. So now if I go back to my main, I should have all my chops here. Okay, and another thing, you want to make sure that you go to Program Edit up here, and you're going to set this to mono, not poly. So because if you set it to poly, then basically your samples will play polyphonically, meaning all at the same time. If you set it to mono, that means that they'll only play one at a time. So poly meaning many, mono meaning one. So if you want to change that, then you go Program Edit, Sometimes I like to do mine poly because it just has a different type of feel. It's like the samples are kind of blending together, but most of the time mono is what you're going to be using. And when you slice your chops in sample edit, you're actually using it in mono, not poly. So more than likely mono is what you want. So here we go. So now that I have my my chops, let me make sure. All right, I'm going to go ahead and record the sequence. It's in there. Okay. So now that we have our melodic sample, we're going to move on to our drums, and then I had like some type of atmospheric sample, and I'll probably just show you how to do the drums just so we can make a thorough video. Okay, so the way I like to do when I'm organizing my beats in MPC 2.0 or MPC software, I never like to put more than one instrument on a single track. So I'm going to move to the next track in order to put my drums. That way, when we do a track out and you do explode tracks, it's easier for you to get stems because you don't have to separate things later. If you just put each instrument on an individual track, you go to explode tracks, it's giving you the stems already right there. But as you can see, I still have chops on here from the last, from my melody. Now I could put my drum sample on the same program, but I don't like to do that. Like it gets a little bit confusing, and I just like to keep mine organized in a certain way. So I'm actually going to start a different program. So this is program 2 here, and then I'm going to drag my drum loop in. So put that right there. So now let's go check our sample edit, and if you see here, you can see same way that I had it on the last sample, there are 16 chops here. So I didn't have to chop anything. You see that I didn't have to like add any regions. I didn't have to do anything. It already came in pre-chopped because I chopped these drums on the MPC sample already. So I already have my 16 different pads or drum sounds. Okay. Now I have to go through the same process of what I just did with the melody on here, right? I have to go through and listen to the drums that I recorded and then see exactly which pads I pressed and then re-record the entire thing. And basically that's how you do it. So let me just do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm not going to do it on camera. I'm just going to show you the finished beat. On second thought, I decided I'm just going to go ahead and show you everything. So in order to get to the next sample, I'm gonna hit the chop button, and that's gonna take the chops away. So now I'm looking for my drum sample. So there I have my drum sample right there on the first pad. So now I'm gonna hit chop again, and you see that I have my 16 chops that I've already done right here on my MPC sample. Now this one is gonna be a little simpler because it's already, the BPM for this sample is already 120 beats per minute. So now I just need to look and see exactly which chops I used and in which order in order to recreate the drum pattern from this beat. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, now I'm gonna go back and just see if I can recreate the drum pattern that I used on the last beat, on that other beat. Okay, so now I have to do the same thing. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna assign these chops to each pad in my program. So here's chop number 1, chop number 2, and I pretty much just need the first 8. I only use the first 8 chops from this sample, not all 16. So 5, 6, and it's probably a faster way to do this. I haven't figured it out. If you know, please put it in the comments. A way that like you can like automatically put all your samples on the pads in your program. I haven't found the fastest way to do that. I haven't really done a lot of research, but if you know a faster way, add it, okay? Now I'm gonna go back and actually record it into the beat. Hit main. Now, when I go back to the main part, my drum chop should be here. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and record it. My timing was a little bit off, but thank God for quantization, so it should be good. I know I wasn't that off. And that's it. Okay, I still got one more sound that I need to add. And this sound isn't like a main part of the beat, it's just kind of like a little background ambiance vocal, so I can add that to the same program as my drums. So let's see, but I know I'm gonna have to time stretch it. So go here, and let me see, there you go. So I have 4 slices here. You see, it's not nothing major. Now I have to go back and see actually which part I used. So same type of deal with this one. The original tempo of this sample is 109, but my project sample is 120. So I basically just had to figure out how many beats the whole entire sample was. It was 32 beats. I'm gonna change it now to 120 because 109 is closer to 120 as opposed to being closer to 60. So I'm here to do it. All right, now this should be right in time. Okay, assign, we'll put that right there. All right, so now let's go. That's right, okay. All right. Now, I know that I gave a lot of information and stopped and did a lot of different things, but I wanted to make sure I gave an in-depth tutorial on how to get your beat from here onto your MPC 2.0 system. I did some research and basically they kind of like don't really have a direct way for people who haven't bought either the new MPCs like the Generation 2, or if you don't have like a 61 or one of the later ones like a Live 2. I still have a Renaissance, as you can see, and I didn't really feel a need to upgrade to one of the newer MPCs because this one was still doing what I needed to do. Now I'm thinking that I might want to actually get the MPC Key 61 G2 when that finally drops. I know that they just dropped a 37 G2, which looks pretty cool, but I think that in terms of what I want and functionality and like a whole type of studio type of atmosphere, that the G2 61 key will be right what I want. And that way I wouldn't necessarily have to do that workaround anymore. I would be able to take my beats and projects straight from here and basically do that file transfer thing and then open up the projects directly in the MPC 3.0 or 3.9, I think is what it is right now. So this is just for people like myself who might be slow on the uptake, who haven't actually upgraded their entire MPC system. If you're still using like an MPC Studio or a MPC Renaissance like myself, but you still want to make beats and you want to utilize the standalone capabilities of this sample. Because I'm telling you, as you can see, this is not a completed beat. It doesn't have like a bass line. It's not mixed or anything. And there are a few more elements that I would add melody-wise and just some transitions to make it more into a full beat. But when you're talking about actually being able to chop samples and then chop drums and then create like ideas in order to get your beat started, man, it's nothing better than this. I know a few people who had the Live 2. I don't know anybody who has the Live 3 personally, but you know, it's a bigger machine. So it takes more weight You have to have more space to carry it. Whereas this, man, I can slide this in my book bag. I can put it in my tote bag and just go. It's only 2 pounds. Like, it's really like the best $400 I ever spent on equipment in terms of being able to do what it is that I would do at home somewhere else. And you know, because any other time I would make beats on the road or traveling, I would need a laptop and then my controller, maybe a keyboard. It's like, you know, just more equipment just getting in the way. Whereas this, there's nothing that gets in your way. There are no cords. It's battery powered. It's like so easy. So really, I know that I'm not sponsored by Akai, but you know, if you're an MPC user, then you love MPCs, and I really love MPCs. And this one, I'm telling you, it is not a toy. It is really the same thing as the MPC at your house, just you're able to take it and go anywhere with it. I made beats on my porch. I made beats in the backyard. Like literally, you're able to do anything that you would do at home on your MPC. Of course, it's in a lightened version. It's not as like souped up, but that actually forces you to be a little bit more creative, use the tools that are available to you, and then really have some fun with it. So if you were looking for a reason to get yourself an MPC sample, even though you don't have an MPC 3.0 or 3.9 system, there you go. All right, I know that was long, but I hope you learned something. Peace.